Hey there guys, Vertices here and welcome back to my Unreal Engine 4 Level Design Essentials series. In today's video we are going to be taking a look at how we can use some advanced geometry editing techniques to further modify the geometry that we create inside of Unreal Engine 4. So in the last video we made this basic little building here. It's got a doorway and it's also got a nice little frame, and we did this using additive and subtractive geometry. However, for the most part, the shape that we've got here is essentially just a box. Now, in some cases with your level design, you are going to want to be able to modify this shape further to just get the look and the style that you're after. And we're going to be doing that using the geometry editing mode. If you want to get into this new geometry editing mode, just press Shift and 5, or alternatively, just hit the little icon in the top right hand corner in the modes panel. Now, if we select our box that we've created here, our building that we've created rather, with this geometry editing mode selected, you can see it is now all in blue. And this blue mode is essentially telling us that it is now ready to modify. So we've got two main functions within here that I want to go through with you guys. The first one is the editing mode and the extruding mode. I'm not going to worry about the pen, the brush and the lathe tool for now, just focusing on these main two, as that's really what you're going to be using. So the editing mode, what this is going to allow us to do is essentially edit the individual elements of this shape, and those elements are your faces, which are the large sections. So if I select the top face at the top, you can see it's the big old square, and then within that you have got some lines. And these lines make up pretty much the distance between your vertices. So let me see if I can select this. So the line is here between these 2 points, and then your points here and here all around are going to be your vertices. So let me try and break that down in a way you can understand it. So basically, every shape inside of a game engine is going to be made up of vertices, which are these little points. Between those you have lines, and those lines you can modify and select these if you need to. And then between the lines you have the faces, which is essentially the part that the player can see. So all of these you can modify to have a bit more control over the shape that you're creating. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So if I go into the editing mode, just by clicking edit in the top left here, I can then select the face. And if I wanted to, I could move this up and I can make it taller just by moving this face up. Or if I wanted to, I could select the line, which like I said, just makes up the distance between these 2 points here, or any 2 points, and I can move the line individually as well. So if I show you what that can do, you can see I can make these odd looking shapes like this, which is pretty cool. It just gives a bit more control, and it's just essentially moving these individual little elements. And lastly, you can also select the vertices, and you can also just pull these out, transform them, modify them, do whatever you've got to do to them. Now the next one that I want to show you is the Extrusion Tool, and this is going to come in handy when you're trying to make these shapes a little bit more complex. You're going to need more faces on there, and to do that you're going to have to use the Extrusion Tool. So what I'm going to do to show you how you can do this a little bit easier is I'm going to go back to my normal placing mode real quick by pressing Shift +1, and then go to geometry and just place another box. And then with this box, you can see we've got just the box there, it's all good. Open up our geometry editing mode, select one of the faces, and as soon as you select extrude, as soon as you select that face, you can see that the extrusion mode comes up in white, which means you can use this. What this is going to allow us to do is we can either manually extrude it out by dragging it out like this, and it's going to give you another section. So with this, you now have two faces, one here, and if I was to click and drag this up again, I would have another face. It's just adding more and more sections, or segments rather, to our shape. So what we could do is we can also type it in how many segments we want, and also the length of those segments if we want to do it this way. So what if I wanted to, I could extrude out from this little face here, and I could have 5 segments, and I want these to be 25 in length each. if I press apply, it's going to make these extra shapes for me. So if I look at this, we have got 5 segments, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're all good, and the length of these are going to be 25 across, and that's perfect. Now, the reason why you might want to do this is so that you can then go back into the editing mode and you can select each and every one of these faces individually and do all kinds of crazy things. So for example, this one here, I might want to raise it up. So what I will do, however, is just make sure I don't have any snapping turned on, so I have a bit more freedom of movement, and then just drag it up, maybe even do the same over here, and you can see now we are getting these weird little shapes. It's going to allow us to make things like triangles, roofs, and all of that kind of stuff. And really, to get good with this, you just need to practice and play around with trying to make different shapes. But anyway, that is pretty much everything for today's video. Once again, guys, thanks for watching, stay awesome, keep creating. Your boy Vertices, signing out. This video was made possible by my supporters on Patreon. If you want more videos like this, check out my Patreon page using the link in the description. To stay up to date on new releases, make sure you follow us on social media.